given my mind to one of the teams, but if I do have ideas that I'd like to give to one of the teams, how do I do that?
Yeah. If you're not on a team, well, you're on a team. You're here. Actually, Drew is not on a team. He just said, I just came to help you with the technology, but I'm not on a team. How do my ideas and innovations, initiatives get into the process? There's thousands of people out there who are probably wondering, how do I get involved in this? It is really the co-chair's responsibility, and they know that they're the conduit for any idea within their area. So we will be sending out a communication to the university to say, the roadmap has started, here's the website, here's the team membership. The teams are closed. I mean, we gave a lot of opportunity for people to join the teams last spring. Over the summer, we moved people from team to team if they had conflicts. We're really locking in right now. This is the group we need. We may add a few if there's some waiting lists, but right now we're about 48 to 49 people on each one of the teams, and making them any bigger doesn't help. But when people have ideas and they want to get those ideas in front of the team, I'm going to ask the co-chairs to be the conduit for that information.
Hi, my name is Tara Schneider. I'm a student at Binghamton University. I just have a question about, I've noticed that we have sponsors in the audience. So how do sponsors get more involved with the plan?
Right. What does a sponsor do? That's a good question. Any sponsors want to tell them what you do? Brian, you want to tell them?
Sponsors. So the way the structure is set up, if you didn't notice, the co-chairs of the committee, the sponsors of a committee are supervisors in the reporting relationship. So for example, global engagement, one of the co-chairs is Ellen Badger. She's part of the Division of Student Affairs. There are two other co-chairs to that committee. As their sponsor, I've already met with the three co-sponsors. I asked them what administrative support they may need to schedule meetings, get information out to the university community, access to listservs, whatever planning that can help in that regard. We're going to meet regularly throughout the process to make sure we're meeting the different sort of deadlines within the process as we move forward. And I'll use another example from the diversity group, as the president made reference to. I think it's actually on September 20th that we're holding an open forum in C4, in the Newing and Dickinson communities. And so we met about planning a program as a way to do some outreach specifically in that respect for students. But we want the process to be as inclusive as possible. Our job as sponsors is to make sure that the co-chairs have all the support they need to connect to as many people as possible and to be able to meet their deadlines as we move through this very aggressive timeline for the semester.
Just to throw out a topic of conversation maybe. Matt Telfer from Austin, Texas. You said that we would like to be the premier university, public university. I mean, that is a very tall order, as you can imagine. What would you think would be the 2 or 3 major things that you would have to become the premier public university?
Do you want to do that one?
Sure.
We'll give Don a chance.
I think when I think of great universities, I think of great students and great faculty. And so, you know, as I think of this plan, we're talking about increasing the enrollment at Binghamton very strategically. We have great students already. We're thinking to maintain and even increase that quality and the diversity of students. We're going to be adding 150 net new faculty, minimally, as a result of this plan. And so that means we need to be able to recruit the very best faculty that we can. And we need to be strategic about where we recruit them. And then a third thing I would say is we need to be well-known nationally and internationally for the things that we're really good at, the areas where we choose to excel. And it seems to me, I mean, a university, particularly a university of this size, can't be all things to all people. We have to pick and choose. We have to make choices about where we're really going to be, great. And I think if we make those choices right, based upon emerging areas in terms of scholarships, societal needs, where we have strengths now, we can gain real international visibility and reputation. And I think that means more interdisciplinary work rather than less. Bringing people together from different perspectives to address really big problems that matter. So those would be my three. Areas.
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. One is that a university works. Let's start with a corporation. A company works to maximize financial gain with social constraints applied to it. Universities work to maximize social gain with financial constraints applied to it. So social gain, the greatest social gain that a university can provide the world is the premier university. That's a very hard thing to decide, to define, social gain, social benefit. The other one that frustrates me a little bit is excellence. We're going to be excellent. Well, you can't find an excellent meter anywhere. There is no such thing as an excellence meter. You know it when you get it kind of feeling. So we're going to have to decide that there might be surrogates. There might be surrogates for this excellence. And the surrogates, I think, are going to come out of these teams. That you're going to say, my vision in 5 years is this. It's a step. My vision in 20 years is this. And for this area, that's premier. And so if we can be premier in these 9 different areas, then I think that we've made, but I'm looking for these teams to tell me what that goal is. The fact that we say premier is ours to define, I worry that that's a little bit avoiding the topic. But at the same time, I don't want to force us into, well, let's be like University of Virginia. Let's be like University of North Carolina, 2 very highly ranked in the current rankings of public universities. But we can learn a lot from looking at them. We certainly can learn a lot, and we should look at them. So I looked at University of Virginia, for example, and their undergraduate population is almost the same as ours. Our undergraduate student quality is almost the same as theirs. Okay, so they're 200 years old, and they've got a $5 billion endowment, and they were founded by Thomas Jefferson. That's just temporary. We've got some time to catch up to that, but I think we can head there. But if you just look at a couple of things that University of Virginia does, and it turns out that they are the second highest ranked public university in U.S. News and World Report, Berkeley being the highest. Another thing that's kind of interesting, U.S. News and World Report, the top 20 schools, how many are public? None. Top 20 schools in U.S. News and World Report's rankings, there are no public schools in the top 20. It says something about what the rankings value. So the next one that's public is Berkeley, then UCLA and University of Virginia are tied. If you look at University of Virginia's portfolio, they graduate the same amount of undergraduates as we do. They have a slightly higher graduation rate. Where they differ from us significantly is at the graduate level. They graduate 3 times as many master's students as us, and 3 times as many PhD students as us. It doesn't mean that we should chase that, but we should learn from that. And we should decide that's something that we don't have that they have, and people think that that's a great thing. So we're going to have to decide, is that something that we think is going to be part of Premier? And it's not going to be my decision, it's going to be this group's decision. But that would be one idea of how we would move towards some goals.
We're trying to gather the best people to come to Binghamton, the best students. We want to graduate the best, and everything's best. But I want to know, how is it going to impact our community, like the Binghamton community, the New York State community? I realized that part of that grant was to help the community also. So give us a little bit more feedback of some of the ideas that you really are discussing now, and how do you plan? Because there's a lot of people who graduate from college, they can't find a job.
Binghamton is a major employer in this community. Just by the fact of growing and growing with quality, we're going to have a huge impact on this community. I think if you look at our local community, at the state, at the nation in the future is dependent upon educating bright people who can contribute to the knowledge and creative economy. And that's an area where we are really, really good. The future is dependent upon people who are positioned to operate in a global economy, and that's something we're very, very good at. The future in this community is going to be dependent, I think, on generating new kinds of economic opportunity, new kinds of economic activity. And that's another area where we have the faculty and the students who will be generating ideas that can be taken into the community to create businesses, to enhance the arts, to make this community more vibrant. So I think it's going to have a huge impact.
Just this Saturday, I was downtown for an event, the Community Company. It's a startup company by some local students, some recent graduates from here that are trying to enhance the relationships between our students and the local businesses downtown. Great idea. And I think those kinds of ideas that our students will generate will help the area. Next question.
I was wondering more about the research procedure. Sort of wanted to find out, I guess it would definitely depend on what questions, what research we would want done, but I guess part of the answer I would look for was like time-wise, how much we would expect for a turnaround on certain requests.
On data requests?
Yeah.
It depends on what you're asking for. Sometimes it's hard to get the data. I mean, we're going to be using all publicly available data that's out there on the internet that we have access to, and we have access to things that the general public doesn't, and we're very good at finding this data. But if you want some specific information about a specific part within your team that may be hard to get, we may not be able to get it. So you're going to find out within a day or two, can we get the data? And if we can get the data, how long will it take for us to get it? And then we'll be working on getting it as quickly as we can. If you start to peruse through there, you'll see there's significant amounts of data there already, but there's definitely things you're going to want to know. And trust me, there's a lot of things you'll want to know that we just can't get. So you're going to have to, sometimes it's better just to look at how we're doing in that category over a period of time and to say how can we project forward as opposed to comparing ourselves current state to others that don't report the same information that we would like to have.
After we come up and the committee has made all their proposals, does the overall SUNY system have to approve this? Do they have any say in what we decide? Or are we really the deciding voice, and your office, of course, in this plan?
Yeah. No, this is really ours. They've already given us the ability to do what we're doing right now through the legislation and the budget process that the SUNY system goes through every year where they allocate the funds to the different campuses. So our allocation this year versus last year's, SUNY makes that decision, but that doesn't change much from year to year. That's pretty much the same. In fact, as part of the legislation, it says it shouldn't change at all. It can go up, though. I'm okay if it goes up, but it can't go down. Other than their allocation to us, there's nothing else that they would have to improve. We get to do it ourselves. How we pick the right things, though, all these proposals that we'll have, we're going to involve the co-chairs as kind of a steering committee near the end to rank and to decide as a team which ones of these are going to have the best benefit for us. Thanks.
Hi, President Stenger. My name is Gary Zhang. I'm junior in School of Management. My question is that I believe all students joining this program has the enthusiasm to help Binghamton University, but besides going to the meeting and discussing the topics, what is your specific expectation for the student members? Is there any chance for student members to actually participate in the implementation process, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, we've assembled the committees to get, the roadmap committees to get a broad cross-section of perspectives. Some people will have greater expertise than others in the particular area, but I think my experience indicates that sometimes it's the people who don't come at this with particular expertise who can ask the questions that the experts have forgotten to ask. So we've intentionally included students in this. We want their input. We want that to be a rich part of the conversation.
And then how are they involved in the implementation afterwards? Certainly, we have student interns across the entire university, and we'll be looking for them, like I've got the team back there, to help move some of these projects forward. You're some of the best workers that we have, and we'll be enlisting many of the students who are on these teams to help us move the projects forward.
Hi, my name is Samson Witterman. I'm a junior in Harper College. First of all, thank you, President Stenger, for including students in this vision and this plan. What I was wondering is sort of similar to what Gary asked. With just a small portion of these committees being students, I expect it's going to be a tremendous task for us students to represent the entire undergraduate body and for graduate students as well. So my question is, how is the student voice going to really be heard among all these professionals and like excellent staff members?
Mm-hmm. Actually, you're 27% of the members, so you're almost 100 strong on the committees, and in some teams you're 30 to 40%. So I think in numbers wise, and I'm not going to say that attendance will be disproportionate by students, but it's right in the Anderson Center. You'll be able to get there pretty easily for the meeting. So I'm anticipating that the student voice, just like I think we've just had 4 students' questions in a row, to be heard, because that's the spirit of the Binghamton University student. They're not going to sit back and listen. What I want you to do, though, is to go out and talk to your friends. Hey, I'm on this team. Got any ideas that I can take back to the team? So you're going to have a role in bringing those ideas from your friends to our meetings.
Good afternoon, President Stenger, Provost Neiman. I never can pass away an open microphone. I'm Paul Parker from the Research Division. I know that the schedule is extremely aggressive. As we started talking about the 3 I's, each of the teams, is there any opportunity that the team members will be discussing between each other what 3 I's they're working on? There could be some collaboration, some mutual 3 I's that are coming forth from the teams that we could go forth together that might have a better outcome.
Every 2 weeks, the co-chairs are going to meet as a group in a steering committee. And the goal is to go around that table and to find out where you're headed. What are your ideas? And if we see some teams that are coming up with the same kind of ideas, same kind of proposals, we're going to get them to work together on those. I believe that the best proposals are going to be endorsed by 4 or 5 teams at the end. And so we're looking for synergies and leveraging as part of the input on that. So yeah, that's where we'll get that. Every 2 weeks, the co-chairs will be meeting and sharing where they are in their project ideas.
Thank you.
Thanks.